Okay. 1, 2, test. 1, 2, test. 1, 2. Okay, we already got 3 people watching. What's up, everybody? We're starting the show in a couple of minutes. I'm going to bring my guest in, Nick Checket. Wanted to thank you guys for being in the audience on a beautiful Tuesday. The show is going to be a good one. I promise you, we got a double hitter today. And wanted to see what's going on with you guys out there today. How you doing with all the craziness in our world? Are you taking care of yourself? Once again, my name is Rodney. This is the Produce Your Own Life podcast/TV show. And want to make sure that when you are watching the show, that you share the show, get as many viewers as you can into the show. Make sure you go and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeart, Castbox. Just about every podcast platform, this podcast is available. So make sure you show some love to it. Give us a rating. On Apple especially, it's important to rate the podcast. So make sure you show some love and give us a rating. And I want to thank you guys once again for signing in and viewing the Produce Your Own Life podcast/TV show. Today, I have a double hitter. But first up at bat is a man that I met probably about 3 years ago. I think we were working on a commercial together, and this guy shows up. He's walking in. You know, he's like the typical. You look at it, he's like the beefcake that all the girls go crazy about. He walk in. I was like, who is this dude? And everybody really was just gravitating around him. He's an actor. He's a model. He's doing his work. He's killing it here in LA. And I wanted to bring him before you to share his story. And we're going to have a good time for the next, 45 minutes or so. So without further ado, I want you to welcome my guest, actor, model, beefcake, Nick Checket.
What's up, brother? How's it going, man? Good to see you.
It's good seeing you too, man. You are a beefcake, man. You got the cake on.
What can I say, man? What an intro, though. I don't know. I feel like I'm nervous to disappoint now after all that hype.
Hey, it's real, man. It's real. It's real love, man. So
absolutely.
You're looking good. You're taking care of yourself with all this crazy COVID stuff.
Thank you, man. Yeah, doing the best I can. A lot of at-home workouts these days because we can't get out into the gym the way we used to.
Yes.
But yeah, man, just doing the best. Hopefully we're on the tail end of this pandemic situation, and with this vaccine getting out, maybe it looks like we're already starting to get some restrictions lifted as of yesterday. So
definitely,
hopefully we can get back to seeing each other in person a little bit more than doing these things over computers. But yeah, man, just plugging along, just getting through it. Luckily, I've been fortunate enough to not, have the pandemic ravage my life too much. I know a lot of people have had a pretty rough go of it, so I've been lucky.
Me and you both, man. I feel pretty grateful that when it first started, it kind of made me a little frustrated. I just had a real nice booking that was preparing to come my way, and it didn't come back after COVID. So, but that's how the industry is. But it's just this whole podcast was birthed out of that.
Right.
I decided to use some other gifts I have and really keep my name out there and let people know other talents I have, and also encourage other actors I know and other people who are just, positive, man, doing great things. That's why, I brought you on my show, man, because you one of the dudes I know who got that good energy. You're a good man.
Oh, man. Thank you, brother. That's why I was so excited to do it because, social media is such a double-edged sword, right? And you see all these great things and you can connect with people, but at the same time, you've got death by comparison and you've got all these things that can get into your head. But lately, especially, I've been really trying to curate my social media experience with just positive people, inspirational people. And that's why when you asked me to be on, it was a no-brainer. I was so excited, man, because your stuff, it just gets me going in the morning sometimes, man. Like, I love it. I see your face and I see how positive you are and all the stuff that you're doing. You're the definition of the multi-hyphenate, and and I love it, man. I love it because, especially with this past year with everything shutting down, it's really forced people to kind of regroup and figure out different ways of operating, right? We can't just be actors when everything shut down. So I've been doing a ton of writing. I see you got the podcast going.
Yes.
You know, you got the philanthropy stuff you do. It's really inspirational stuff, man. I gotta say, my hat's off to you. I love seeing your stuff all the time. It gets me going.
Man, Tito, where my tissues? Man, I appreciate that, man. I tell a lot of people, I was like, you never know who's watching you.
Right.
And so you just be consistent in whatever you're called to do.
Yep.
And, you know, the right things are happening at the right season in your life. So just stay faithful to it. And before you know it, things start happening. One thing one of my mentors told me, he's on Grey's Anatomy, he had told me that with this industry, the key is just to last long enough, to stay in the game long enough. He said, if you stay in the game long enough, your time is going to come.
Yeah.
The issue with most people is that they get impatient. It's like, oh man, it's not happening. It hasn't happened in 5 years, so I'm out. It happened in 10 years. First thing he told me, he said, if you got a timeline set on this industry, don't do it. If you're saying, well, if it ain't happened in 5 years, I'm gonna do something else, it's like, find something else. Because you have no guarantee. You don't know when the time is gonna come. Most people is to stay ready, get ready, be ready, and use your other gifts. So, man, I just wanted to talk to you, man, and jump into some of these questions I got for you. You know,
yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited.
You're a model because, you know, I stood up next to you, tall. What are you about, 6'3", 6'4"?
6'3", yep, 6'3".
Yeah, see, I'm pretty good at measuring that.
You got it, man. You size me up.
Yeah, I check everybody. I'm 5'10". I didn't make 6 foot, so everybody I see over 6 foot, I'll be like, man, how tall are you? Yeah. They got some of my height. But you're a model and you're an actor. Which one actually came first? Was it the modeling or was it the acting? Which came first?
So modeling came first, kind of just on a fluke too. It wasn't anything I was really into. I don't have any family at all in entertainment. Mm-hmm. So when I was a kid, it wasn't really anything that was on the table for me. Yes. I went, you know, the consistent route. I have a bunch of family in my whole family. It's kind of a joke. They're all either pharmacists or teachers. Everybody in my family is either pharmacist or teacher. So I went the pharmacist route. So I went to pharmacy school right out of high school. Did that, you know, did it for about 10 years or so before I decided I wanted to do something creative. But modeling started right after college. Just a buddy of mine had started a clothing company, and he needed a few people. Just, hey, you know, throw these shirts on, let's take some pictures, and you'll be helping me out. I'll throw you $100 or whatever. And it was fun. You know, we had a great day, fun day, just going around town and shooting and stuff. And after that, I was like, well, why not just give this a shot? I'm not going to go full bore into it, but I think I signed up for, what was the website? It was like modelmayhem.com. Have you heard of it? Yeah, I was like, whatever. I throw some pictures on there, see if I, you know, get some people interested. And I actually booked a bunch of stuff off of there, and it just kind of became a thing. So it was just kind of like a little side hustle that I did for a few years off and on. And then, you know, I was working as a pharmacist for about, 10 years or so. And I had a bit of like a quarter life crisis sort of situation, I guess. I was kind of at just not in a good place in my life. I wasn't super happy with where things were going. I was actually in the middle of a divorce after a very short marriage. And I just decided, I needed some creative outlet in my life or something. I've always loved movies. I hesitate to call myself a cinephile because I know real cinephiles, so I don't want to put myself in that category. But I've always loved movies. I like the modeling stuff I was doing. Like, why not take an acting class? What's the worst that can happen? So took a class, and just like all of us, just fell in love immediately. And realized that this is just such a fun, cool thing to do and to express myself. And I just felt like the weight of the world falling off bit by bit every time I would take a class or act or do whatever I did. So after that, it was just like, I'm just going to go 100% at this thing. So,
man, Nick, I love what you said about when you started taking the acting class, and it was almost like therapy.
Oh, 100%.
It's that I tell a lot of people, I said, man, I was like, it's helped me in a lot of ways. So has some of your storytelling, like even like you said you were writing, has some of that been inspired by just processing, stuff from your life?
Totally. Yeah. So it's when I started the acting class, I was lucky enough it's interesting because I got into this business later than the average person, if there is an average age for whatever, right? Yeah. I don't know. Do you listen to the podcast Audrey Helps Actors? Have you heard of that podcast?
Yes. I listen to it every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. And so she would call us second act actors, basically, because we had a life, we had a career, we did all these things, and then we came to acting later on, as opposed to, you know, the child actor who was a struggling actor their whole lives, that whole story.
Yes.
But at times, you know, I think of like, oh, if I had started 10 years ago, I'd be so much further ahead by now. But if I had started at that point, I was not in any mental space to be able to handle this business and the ups and downs and the rejection and all of it. Right. So yeah, just I feel fortunate that I came into it a little bit later, where I was in the headspace to kind of be able to look at it and really see what it is from a more adult, more mature perspective.
Yes.
So I realized early on that just being an actor wasn't really gonna cut it. You have to be able to write, and you have to be able to produce and direct, and just all the different avenues. One of those things where you just throw everything up against the wall and see what sticks, right? And what sticks for you, what sticks for the industry, and kind of where you fit. So, so writing, I started writing early on, if for nothing else, just to help my acting, to help get a different perspective. Yes. You know, not just focusing as an actor, but what is it like to be a writer? And then, you know, when you want to change that word here or there,
yes.
You know, when I see actors change my words, when I try to like produce something, I'm just like, could you not do that, please? Because a lot of energy went into writing those words. But yeah, so it's been super therapeutic, all of it. I mean, the acting part, and then especially when, you know, even if I just write something for myself, a monologue I want to work on just for practice, even if it starts out with an idea that doesn't really relate to my life, it always works its way in there. As you're writing, you just feel it. It just kind of oozes out of you. So there's really not any option to not have it be personal, you know?
That's what I love about this industry, man. It really does. It allows us to really impact other people's lives, but we're also helping, you know, ourselves. We're processing, you know, some things, events from our life while we're creating art. And,
totally.
It's so much fun. I really do. I love it. I love what you said about monologues too, because a lot of actors will say, because I run a fan group page on Facebook called the New Actors Blueprint, just, you know, encouraging actors. It don't have to be necessarily new, but just actors from all over the industry experience. Yeah. And you know, I basically told them a monologue is something that we should write our own monologues. Everybody always say, what should I look for? I was like, no, write your own. Mm-hmm. That is the best. And that's what my acting coach, Doug Wade, I'll give him some love. Doug Wade out there.
Shout out.
Yeah, he challenged me to write my own monologues. He was like, those are the most powerful ones.
Yeah.
And you never looked at like from another actor. My worst time. We all got an embarrassing moment, so I'm going to ask for yours. I'm going to share mine because, you know, show and tell real quick.
Absolutely.
One of my most embarrassing moments auditioning, this was maybe a little over 5 years ago. I was asked to give a monologue. So, you know, I walk in there and I'm like, man, my favorite actor, Denzel. So I pulled the monologue from Remember the Titans as he's talking to the football team at the cemetery, you know, giving his whole speech.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, my goodness, why did I do this? When I kept flubbing it too, because I was just like, I was putting all this pressure on myself because I was trying to envision Denzel doing it. I was like, this is bad. And when I was done, the casting directors, they all just kind of just looked with their mouths like, I was like, thank you. I was like, okay. I know I didn't get this one. I just walked out. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Sometimes you just got to take the L and move on, man.
I took a major L on that one. I was like, never again will I do that.
Yeah, that's a lofty one to pick, man, going after Denzel. That's the tough thing about that, right? Is because, like, everybody's seen that.
Yes.
Everybody's seen Denzel do it. It's like, what can you do, right? Because you always, especially when you do somebody else's monologue, you always want to try to do something different.
Yes.
And then to try to outdo Denzel, that's a lofty one. But I did one. This was early on, so I was living in San Diego when I first started acting.
Yes.
And there wasn't a huge scene down there, but you know, just trying to get into little things that I could. And I was auditioning for something. and we had to do a monologue, and so I wanted to do a comedic one, and I did very similarly to you. I went after Vince Vaughn.
Oh boy.
Oh, it was the one from Wedding Crashers when he's talking to the priest and he's basically like admitting everything.
Yeah.
And he's like pouring him the whiskey and it's so hilarious. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. I'm like tall. I look a little bit like Vince Vaughn, like, and I feel like I can like get the lingo down. And again, the nerves get to you. You trip up on a line, and then it's all over after that. And I'm trying to recover, and it's, you know, especially with comedy, like it has to have a certain rhythm to it. And it's that same thing where like you end, and there you just finally you look at the casting director, whoever it is, and you know that they've just been waiting for you to stop the whole time. And then you walk out of there just like, oh God, what was I thinking, man? Like, you have that instant clarity that you wish you had like 30 minutes before.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all got them, man. This growing pains, it's what, you know, that's all it is.
But it makes you stronger.
100%.
You know, because that brings me to like my next question for you. Like, you've been at Angelino, 10 plus years. Because for anybody who doesn't know, when you relocate to Los Angeles, they say the first 90% of people move to LA, usually leave LA within the first year. Then after that, if you get that 5-year mark, you're pretty much, you'll be able to make it here. Mm-hmm. Once you get that 10-year mark, that's when they're like, okay, you're officially an Angelino. So now I can say that about you. What is one of your most memorable moments in this whole 10-year journey here in LA, building your career?
So actually, I haven't been here 10 years.
Okay.
I've been here only 2.5 years.
See,
so I'm not at that mark yet. Yeah. So I've been in California. So I've been in California now for 12 years. I was originally from New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey. Okay. Went to college there and immediately came out. I lived in San Francisco for a while, for like 3 years there. Then I moved down to San Diego. I was there for around 8 years or so.
Okay.
Or 7 years or so. And then I moved up to LA. So I've been here 2.5 years. I plan to be an Angelino for 10 years. So we'll regroup in a few years and let you know how things are going. But I love it, man. Especially from having the experience of living in San Francisco first and then San Diego and now LA, I've kind of done the 3 major cities in California, just a little bit of a tour of the coast. And LA is by far my favorite. I love living in San Francisco, city life. It's more of a city in the sense that, like I'm from New Jersey, went to New York a lot. And when you live in New York, you don't have a car. You get around public transportation, you walk everywhere. That's that real, cosmopolitan life.
Yes.
San Francisco is very much like that. I didn't have a car there. I just public transportation everywhere. And so that was a nice change up from where I lived in New Jersey. And then, but there was no beach life really. So I moved down to San Diego. And San Diego is just all beach life, like even the downtown part of San Diego, it's not a real city.
No.
But I loved it there because that was just a total change of pace. That was more similar to, I grew up on the beach. So that was kind of my life growing up.
Yes.
Loved San Diego. But then once I started acting, LA was the obvious choice to be up here. There's just a million times more stuff going on. So I moved out to LA, and to me, LA is the perfect mixture of San Francisco and San Diego because you've got the whole beach vibe, everything west of the 405, and then you've got all the industry, all the stuff going on, all the entertainment. That to me is what makes LA so great. Obviously, 2020 has a little asterisk next to it, but
just a small one,
right? But I mean, you can see the world-class entertainment of any kind, whether it's theater, any sort of acting, music, any sort of art you can imagine is here. And you could go on a Tuesday night on a whim pay $20 and see, Dave Chappelle do stand-up. Like there's not too many places you can say that about. So for me, LA is the best. If I had to pick one moment, it's such a shame because I do feel like about half my time here has been robbed, with having to stay in my house the whole time. But there was are you familiar with the musician artist Jacob Banks?
No, but
oh man, It's my thing. He's my all-time favorite artist. He's got this incredibly soulful voice. He's a young guy. He's about 30, but he sounds like he's lived 1,000 lives. And he has this incredible voice, and I just fell in love with him the first time I heard him.
Okay.
And so I was getting off work one night. It was like a Friday night. It's 9 p.m. And, I'm walking in my car. I'm flipping through Instagram. And I followed him on Instagram. And at 9 o'clock, right when I got off work, he had a pop-up show that was totally unplanned. And it was just tickets went on sale that minute, right at 9 o'clock. I just happened to be on Instagram, looked at it, found it, got tickets, brought my fiance, and we just went and had this super intimate little setting. I was probably 6 feet away from him as he was performing.
Yes.
And it was just such an awesome night. And I just one of the things like, man, you can't do this anywhere in the country. Like, this is the place. Like, here in New York, maybe Chicago or something too, but it's like things like this happen, and it was just the perfect night. It was so much fun, totally unexpected.
True
Probably my favorite night and experience in LA so far.
And you know what? I'm also gonna give you extra credit. I'm gonna give you credit for still being 10 plus years in Cali, because California is a whole nother animal. Outside of any other place in this country. So I'm still gonna say I'm an honorary Angelino right now, because you still got that work in. You live in San Francisco, one of the most expensive cities in the world. San Diego is definitely not cheap.
No.
And LA. So you've learned how to navigate the crazy waters. Granted, you came from Jersey, but we all know it's a little bit different out here on this West Coast, boy.
It is for sure, man. San Francisco was like the ultimate culture shock. Being from Jersey, it's just, we had that kind of Jersey Shore, that meathead sort of vibe, and then you go to San Fran where everybody's so nice and friendly and accepting of every walk of life. And I remember just at first just being like, are these people like plotting? Like, are they fake? Are they gonna, like, as soon as I turn around, they're gonna stab me in the back? It was weird. Like, I wasn't comfortable with how nice everybody was, but I've definitely gotten used to it over the last decade plus. And yeah, man, I don't. I'm sorry, Mom, but I don't ever plan to leave California, man. I love it here.
I love it here too, man. I hear about people moving from here. I was like, hey, that's cool for them. It's like, hey, more from me.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I do have one funny story too about living here. This was actually 2 years ago. It was at a post Emmys party over on Sunset Boulevard, and I'm walking out the party, and I'm leaving out, and I'm walking down the sidewalk. My daughter, who was 21 at the time, she decided to go because my wife couldn't go. So she was like, I need to make sure these women know you got somebody. I was like, you gonna maybe like a creep for one with a super young lady, but
right.
But she went with me. So as we're walking out, we're leaving, I hear this voice just say, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, who knows me? Walking out the sidewalk. So I turn around, leaning on a car, Dave Chappelle. So Dave Chappelle, he was like, what's up, man? What you up to? I'm like, just coming from this Emmys party right here. He was like, so what y'all get ready to do? I was like, well, you get ready to go home. I'm looking at my daughter. I was like, no way I'm going somewhere else with my daughter. I'm already in one place. Like, no. And he was basically inviting us to come hang out with him and his people. And I was just like, I almost did it, but I was like, not with my daughter. No, I was like, no.
Oh, man.
I was like, no, I know you're 21, but I would be on edge. Like, if we go to somewhere else, I'm looking like, where's she at? Where's she at? I wouldn't even enjoy myself.
Well, that's funny, man. That's like the ultimate test. And I feel that's like a solid dad test that you passed right there. It's like Dave Chappelle is offering you to hang out, and you're like, be a good dad, hang out with Dave Chappelle, and you passed the test, man. I don't know if I would have. I would have been like, or I would have just like, here's $30, get a cab, get out of here. I'm going to hang out with Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, man. I was like, man, what do I do? I was so excited. I was like, well, I believe those moments will come back. That's all I'm saying. Like, if it's meant to be. But he was so nice. Just like they said, the guy was real cool. I didn't try to take a picture with him. I just was like, it's cool to, I wanted to act like, hey, man, I've been there before. Just like when you score a touchdown in football.
Yeah.
You don't score the touchdown and act crazy because you're like, I'll be back here. Here's the ball. I'll be back.
Right.
That's how
I love that.
I was like, I'll be back, Dave. I'll see.
I love that attitude. It's funny because, being in LA, you're always gonna run into random celebrities here and there when you don't expect it, and it is tough sometimes to like not fangirl out super hard, right? And you're like, oh my god, I love that you did this thing. So Sterling K. Brown, Sterling K. Brown.
Yes.
So we used to work out when I first moved to LA. I lived in Culver City and the 24-hour fitness there. He worked out there, and I'd see him almost every time I couldn't. I was like, he's in the gym, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that guy, but like, I'd see him so many times. I'm just like, and so like, eventually he like walked by one time and like, he could tell, I think he caught the vibe and he just like looked right at me. He's like, what's up, man? And I was like, I loved you in this last episode, like whatever. I was just like, I just watched it. I was just like, oh God, man, you are such a loser. But he was so cool. But he's just like Chappelle is like, 100% of people say he's like the nicest guy ever, and so and he lived up to it. He was super cool and gracious. But it's like, dude, you got to get your stuff together. You're gonna be seeing celebrities. You can't be acting like this. It's embarrassing.
Did you get the sweaty palms or sweats?
No, I didn't. Luckily, I didn't reach out to shake his hands. Like, we're in the gym.
Yeah.
And it was pre-COVID, but still, it wasn't a good vibe. But yeah, man, it's always funny. Just like the heart just starts pounding. You're like, oh my God, it's him. Like, it's funny.
And I really, that's what I love about living here, man. And that leads me into talking to you about some of your roles, man. You have a film, The Adversary.
Yep.
And your character is Graham.
Yep.
Can you fill us in a little bit and give us a little tease, whet the appetite a little bit?
Yeah, that was a fun one. So Graham is, how do I put this nicely? He's a physical character, which I guess is a nice way to say he's not the brightest crayon in the box. But that was a super fun one. So he was a hitman, basically, like a heavy for like the mafia.
Oh wow.
And the thing that one of the things I love the most about acting is, the bonds that you create with these people that you work with, like you and me, right? Like we worked on that project. It was just one day, but we had like instant rapport. And Here we are years later, we're still following each other, supporting each other. And now we're here talking, and it's fun. You get to meet so many people you wouldn't have access to.
Right.
And so that whole shoot was myself and this other guy. His name is Joan. He's from Spain. Amazing actor, super interesting guy. And we were in basically every scene together. So we just bonded super hard over the course of a couple of days. But we were the two like hitmen assassins. There's a lot of that shooting was, like I said, it was super physical. We had a foot chase scene and you're getting all these different angles and it has to take place over, a big area. So we're going from neighborhood to neighborhood. I swear to God, I ran around LA twice that day. It was just, the DP and the director, they're like, okay, like sprint as fast as you can from here to here. And like, we'd go, like, okay, reset, let's do it again. And reset, and let's do it again. It's like, yo, man, can I get some water? Like, and we're like jumping over, fences and sliding over cars and stuff. And it was fun, man. It was a super fun day, but it was definitely an exhausting shoot day. But yeah, that was a fun project because it had a real nice mixture, especially for my character as Graham. Again, not the brightest guy. But we had this awesome guy, this Argentinian actor. I can't remember his name now, but he played the mafia boss. And there was this scene where he was just like chastising the two of us because we had messed up. We were supposed to kidnap this girl, and the reason we didn't kidnap the girl was because I forgot to take the child lock off the back door, and like I was supposed to get in there and get her, but then the dude ran and we had to chase the guy. There was just this whole kind of ridiculous sort of setup, but that was a super fun shoot. Produced by this guy Brandon Kyle, who just did the whole thing himself, wrote it, produced it, directed it, and was the lead in it.
Oh wow!
Which is, as you've done the same thing. Yeah. I've attempted to do it. It's ambitious, and it's exhausting. And so, big ups to him for pulling that off because it came out pretty good. That was a fun shoot. I was happy to be a part of that one.
Your character, as you were describing it, I was picturing The Rock's character in the movie Pain. Was it Pain with him, Mark Wahlberg, and I forgot who else was
Oh
in it.
yeah, no pain, no gain, or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
I was like, I was picturing, I was like, was he that type of character?
Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
It's always fun to play a not so bright character, just because it gives you a sense of looking at things from a totally different angle. You know,
yeah.
like when one person sees this thing, you see a totally other thing, and it's like, really? Like, okay, all right.
It's like, man, we need love too. That's it. I want to ask you, have you thought about what would be your dream role? And if so, how do you think you're going to make that happen?
I mean, we all do, right? We all
Yeah.
got that one or two. I have two. One is, I mean, and it's hard not to want to strive to be in a Marvel project, right? I mean, they're essentially delivering on the highest of levels. They're the top of the food chain.
Yes.
And especially being a guy who, I definitely wasn't a comic book nerd, but I knew about them and I watched cartoons and stuff growing up. So to see just what they're doing,
Yes.
these movies have been just incredible, man. And like you know, not to disagree with the master Martin Scorsese, but I know he doesn't like them. But to me, man, they're great. I mean, Endgame was one of my like all-time favorite movies. I just feel like they do such a good job of yes, it's action and it is spectacle, but the stories and I mean the acting has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And what they're doing now, like I haven't started WandaVision yet, but I've heard that it's like a totally different bent that they're taking on it, and like just the way that they're evolving, it's incredible. So I definitely want to be in a Marvel project. So for me, when I think about the characters I want, and I kind of just recently came into this character, it's Gambit. Are you familiar with Gambit?
Oh, heck yeah, with the cards. Yeah, heck
yeah, and the bow staff.
Yeah.
So I know they had a project that was supposed to be made in like 2018. It got pushed, and then they killed it in 2019. Channing Tatum was attached to it.
Yes.
But yeah, as far as I know now, it's dead. So I'm hoping that in the next few years, as I'm coming up in the industry, the project gets looked at again, and maybe we can go down that route.
Yeah.
So I guess now I should probably start working on a Creole Cajun accent and start training with a bow staff, because those are his two things.
No
But
doubt.
I just always loved that character. When I was a kid, he was my favorite X-Men. I was really into X-Men when I was a kid.
Me too.
And he was my favorite character because he's got that the anti-hero thing, kind of like Deadpool does. He's a little bit more layered than like a pure spirit Captain America or Superman that's pure good all the time.
Truth and justice for all. Yeah.
Exactly. And he's like super suave and charming, and he could be bad sometimes, good sometimes. You never know what you're gonna get with a character like that. So that layered type of character, that would be just an absolute dream to play. So that's one. That's kind of my number two, though.
Yes.
My number one is so like I said, I've been doing a lot of writing.
Yes.
And I've been writing this project for a while. It's going to take a lot longer though, because it's, I've got a bunch of different projects in various stages of completion.
Yes.
But this one is maybe 25% of the way there. But it's the story of my life, actually.
Oh wow.
With like I said, before I started acting, I was just in a really down and out kind of place. Just trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted out of life, and just being depressed. I spent a period of time living out of my car.
Okay.
So it's just gonna be that kind of story, and then how I came into acting, and maybe the end of season 1, and then season 2 will be kind of picking up when I come to LA. But I don't want to play myself for a couple reasons. I think realistically, if it's going to get made, it's probably not going to be for another couple years, and to fit the storyline, I'd probably want somebody a little younger. But also, I really do want to play my brother, because I think that would just be so much fun. The way that I know him and the things that I love to make fun of about him, I would just be like super excited to be able to do that and play with that. And I think it would just be great to show him exactly how I see him, and like in that way. So that's really my number one, especially because I've just grown such a a high regard for people who do produce their own stuff. I mean, the name of your podcast, right? It's fitting.
Produce your own life.
Produce your own life, produce your own series, produce your own everything.
Yes.
And so that's it. Again, it's like, the more personal things are, the better they are and the more they hit. And so doing somebody else's stuff, I'm happy to do. I love acting in every way and I make it personal. Come having your own story. That to me is kind of my ultimate goal, is to be able to tell that story, get it made with really high quality, and just get it out there and have that. That would be such a cathartic experience. But yeah, so being able to play my own brother, I think that's my number one for sure. That's my goal. So I'm writing it now, so I'm working on it. Hopefully in a few more years we'll have it finished and start pitching it and see if anybody wants to make it.
Let's just say we go pitch it and somebody is going to make it.
Absolutely.
And
that's why I need you in my life, man. You gotta keep me on that positivity track.
That's right, man. We work too hard, man. Our stories are just as important as other stories out here. You just gave me another question to ask you. I was thinking about what A-lister would you want to play you then? And in your story, in your life story, who would you want to play you?
That's a good one. Maybe Noah Centineo. You know that dude? He's I think it's like Disney coming up, but he's not super big yet, but he's definitely blowing up. He was in some.
He's good looking.
I mean, I can't help but want to be played by the best looking dude out, right? Yeah, I've seen him in a couple of things. Super good actor, super good looking dude, obviously, and I think age wise, he'd probably fit the bill in another couple years too. So I think he'd be right in there. Yeah, he'll do.
I was going to pick with you a little bit. I was like, you also have the look too, like if you were ever on a soap opera, like your character would be named like Rick Dashing or something like that.
I could totally see that.
Corporate executive who's pretty, under doing a lot of underhanded stuff, but everybody loves Rick. Rick Dashing.
I like that. I'm doing a workshop with Christy Dooley, who's the casting director for The Bold and the Beautiful, in 2 days on Thursday. So I'll let her know that you said Rick Dashing coming out.
Tell her I've had a lot of people kind of look over the soap opera world, but man, that is like, as an actor, that is like great consistent work. That allows you to even build even more. I've had like 2 for Young and the Restless recently. Last week I had one from General Hospital. And so I'm just like, okay, I'll work the soaps. Let's go.
Yeah, so, man. That's like acting boot camp too, man, because you got pages and pages and pages that they dump on you like the day before.
Yes.
And there's nothing like being thrown into the fire. It's anytime I can do anything in any way, it's just throw me head in. Right into the deep end, and let's figure out how to swim. So I would love to be on a soap for a couple of years, man. It puts you through the ringer, and people know soap actors, man, they're professionals. They show up, they get the job done, they focus, because you have to. Everything's last minute with them, so you have to be able to do that.
It's a great world to be in. So who knows? You and I might be on the same soap together one day. Who knows?
Absolutely. You and I will be on the same soap together one day.
There you go. We will be. You hear that, soap world? We said that. Now, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you have for a younger Nick? And it's maybe late teens, early 20s. What would you say to him right now?
I mean, that's kind of an easy one, because it took me so long to figure out not just that acting is my thing, but just being creative in some way. That's really the thing that I think I was missing, which will kind of led me to that dark period of time when I just wasn't happy. It's just I was going through the motions of life, and I wasn't seeking anything out to better myself. So it was like finding some creative outlet. If you would have asked me when I was 28 years old or something, like, are you a creative person? I flat out would have told you no. Like, I'm not an artist. I still can't draw for anything. So that's fine. But like I wasn't particularly musically inclined. I wasn't expressing myself in any real artistic way. And I would have just said, no, I'm not artistic. And it's 100% not true. And I think it's pretty much not true about every person. We all, like you said, we all have a story to tell and something that we can contribute to the arts in whatever way.
That's
and it made me, especially doing this now, it's made me realize how underappreciated and definitely underfunded the arts are.
Yes.
Because I never had exposure to it. You know, when I was in high school, there were no art classes of any kind that I took.
Yeah.
And you know, not to put the onus on anybody else, but again, no like artist by trade in my family either. So it just was something I completely overlooked. And I didn't realize until it was kind of too late how much I was missing it, and how much I was missing out of life by not indulging in creative arts in some way. So definitely that, and just enjoy the journey of things. I think you just posted something about that yesterday, right? About enjoying the journey, and it's so important, dude. And I've just, especially with a career that we've chosen, like, you can't be looking forward to success because who knows if, when, you know what I mean? It's all up in the air. It's not a meritocracy here. It's not like you go to medical school, you get your license, and then you practice medicine. It's you do a million things, throw it all up against the wall, and hope that something sticks. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. So just to really just enjoy whatever stage you're at in life. Give yourself some grace. Don't compare yourself to other people and their journey. You know, their chapter 10 might be your chapter 1. All that type of stuff. But just, I think I definitely spent a lot of time stressing about unnecessary things, comparing myself to others, and it doesn't get you anywhere ultimately, you know. So yeah, 100%. Indulge in things that make you happy, things that make you feel good, and just enjoy wherever you're at, and just keep plugging along, keep working hard, and it's all going to work out, you know.
I love it, man. It's like just keep your hands to the plow is what I say.
Totally.
And you know what? I'm going to say that you and I are successful already in the
totally.
This. We're able to do this. We work hard at it. Because some people, like, they'll ask you, say, man, can you wait until you're just a big success? I said, I am. I was like, the stuff I've created and worked hard on, I was like, I never would have did this, you know, years ago had I not ventured out into this world.
Right.
So I'm already very successful. And
the way I look at it, I love that you said that too, because it's, you know, just the fact that I'm doing it at all means I figured out what I was missing in my life before. Right. And I'm such a happier person, right? And it's like, how do you even measure success, right? Like, sure, it would be nice to be making millions of dollars. And it would be nice to be able to green light other people's projects and pick your projects and do whatever you want.
Right.
But just to be living in LA, a lot of people can't afford to do that. Just to be able to, you know, have the job I had and have the life that I had before set me up to be in a position where I can do these things now. Right. You know, every little victory, you have to look at that as success and just keep putting notches under your belt, you know, and we're here, man. We're doing it. You know, we're talking to each other. That's a success in its own right. So yeah, I love that you said that, man, because it's 100% how you have to look at it. Just keep going.
Man, and when I think about when we first met, and it leads me to like another question I have for you. You know, that was a whiskey commercial we were doing.
It was. Good whiskey too.
Yeah, and so if you were to have a whiskey brand, you know, all these actors, entertainers coming out with their own little whiskey, what would your brand be? And you know, let's go ahead and set up a shoot for that.
Absolutely, we'll set up a shoot, man. Well, I think first we're gonna have to do some market research, right? So, like, well, you're gonna come over. We'll buy all the stuff available. We'll taste everything for a couple days. We'll decide what we want it to taste like, and then, you know, after 3 days, if we remember anything that we've done, then we'll go forward and we'll make a batch. Yeah, what are my whiskey brands? So.
I know he's still here.
So I had a huge Old English sheepdog. He passed away in 2019. I had him for 12 years. It was kind of like the first adult thing I did on my own. I went and got a dog. I was still in college, so probably wasn't the most responsible time, but I got this big Old English sheepdog, and I named him Jameson because that was what I used to drink all the time in college. But he was just like the greatest soul of all time. He passed away in 2019, unfortunately, but he had 12 good years with him.
Yes.
So Jameson is taken, so I can't do that. But I do have another dog named Otis. And I feel like Otis is like a whiskey name. You know, he's got like it's got a soulful kind of an old vibe to it.
Give me some Otis.
So get some Otis whiskey. I think that's what I would name it. I do have another dog right now, but he's a Yorkie named Q-Tip, and it just doesn't have whiskey vibes. You know, that's more like a flavored vodka, I think.
Yeah, and you might have to deal with paying the real Q-Tip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd have to spell it with 2 T's or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to flip that one. Now, I have another question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you were a rapper, if you decided that you're musically inclined,
right?
What would be your rap name? And give us like the name of your album. What would that be?
Rapper. I mean, so it's funny. I did this. I wrote this this 1-act play that I did right before we finished, right before lockdown hit.
Yes.
And it was not a musical, but it was the premise behind it was that this actor was trying to make it in Hollywood, and so he did a 1-man Hamilton show.
Oh wow!
Just ridiculous premise.
Oh,
but I did have some of the songs from Hamilton in it, and I did actually do some of the raps. And man, I learned one thing: I do not have a lot of rhythm. And don't get me wrong, I can dance like a mofo, but I cannot rap or anything. To say I couldn't rap my way out of a paper bag. So it's unlikely that it'll happen. But if I were to, the only thing that comes to mind, it's funny. So my fiance, when we first started dating, she would call me Sweet Pea all the time, which turned into just P. And so now that we're engaged, she calls me her Beyonce. Kind of goes. I'd probably get sued by Beyonce, get a cease and desist. But I think if I had a professional music entertainer name, it would have to be Beyonce. It's the only thing that comes to mind.
I like Beyonce. You might see that in the title of this episode.
In my recent podcast, I talk with actor, writer Beyonce.
Man, I want to know 2 things as we prepare to close out. First, I want to thank you, man, for being a part of my show. It means a lot to me. And I'm very excited for what's happening in your career. And I know somehow, some way, we're going to end up doing something together in the future.
Absolutely.
With each other's careers up. And I want to know if you can, 1, give one parting word of wisdom, and 2, make sure you let the audience know how to stay in contact with you. So those 2 things.
Absolutely. Yeah. My whole thing, man, is, this whole journey, like we were talking about before, this journey that I've been on with figuring out my life, figuring out who I am, figuring out my voice now as an artist. Yes. It's really just about continuous personal growth. That's my whole thing. I actually have a tattoo on my leg just to remind myself. It's this quote. It's a Nietzsche quote. Not to sound pretentious. I mean, I feel like anytime you say, "Oh, this Nietzsche quote," it's like, whatever, dude. You're
showing your artist. You're showing your artist. You're quoting Nietzsche.
Yeah. But it's from this book that I read once, and it's "I am that which must overcome itself again and again." And to me, that's just a matter. It's just like continuous personal growth, just always figuring yourself out, always learning, always growing, always trying to better yourself in whatever way you can. So that's my whole thing, and I'm just trying to carry that into this career, keep things moving. Just like I said, long hit, and all right, so auditions are drying up. We got to just start right, and I just developed myself as a writer and just loving every second of that process. I finished a feature script and 2 pilots in this past year. One that I'm gonna hopefully, one that I'm going to pitch to someone by the end of this year. That's one of my resolutions. And another one that I'm in development on. We're in pre-production now, so I'm hoping to start filming like March or April. So I'll be giving you a ring to audition for a little something. We'll put you in there. So we will make that working together thing happen sooner than later, my man.
All good.
And then, yeah, getting in touch with me. Instagram is my main way. I'm on Facebook as well, but it's like that's usually more of a personal thing. But Instagram, it's Nick Checket or N Checket. That's NCHECKET. And yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to be starting to post some more stuff about this new project that I'm working on. And yeah, always digging into something. So there's always stuff that's going to be popping up there. So that's the best way for sure.
That's great stuff, man. You are the man. You are the man.
No, you are, man. And again, seriously, I know you thanked me for being on, but this was such a joy, man. It's just you. From the moment we met, you just have this awesome energy about you. Like I said, you're super motivational. You inspire me on almost a daily basis. You know, if I'm getting up late or something and I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see your stuff and it's just something positive that it gets me up, it gets me moving, it gets me doing more creative things. You're just a gem of a human being, man, and I'm happy that we got to work together, and we're going to continue working together, and it's just always a good time to chat with you, man.
Man, I don't even know what else to say to close it out with that. It's like it was so. Well, I already know to say thank you or just. I appreciate the love. That's how I say. I appreciate the love. I'm still learning to accept when somebody shows love. So thank you. Thank you, man.
It's something we all got to deal with, right? Receiving it, giving it, and man, that's the thing I love about this business too. Is that it wasn't what I expected when I first moved to LA. Was like, don't get me wrong, there's tons of competition.
Yeah.
But at least from my perspective, I've found that people are so helpful and really put each other on. You know, like, and you find like a community of people that'll lift you up. And that's, you're 100% one of those people in my circle, man. So it's I love it, man. I'm here for all your success, and I'm stoked about it.
Well, I'm here for you too, man, and I'm definitely cheering for you. And that's what I tell a lot of people. I was like, the industry, yes, you have some cutthroat people, some underhanded, but I said the majority of people that I've encountered have been good people, working hard, building a career, just out here grinding. Just that, that's what I love about it. And before I forget to Habits, which are Habits 365. I'm representing for y'all,
All right.
One of their ambassadors. I'm dressing in the shirt they gave a brother. So make sure you guys go to my link on my Instagram, Rodney Damon Collins, if you are interested in checking out Habits 365. They got some pretty cool sponsors along with Jamie Foxx. So to be in the same group with that, I was like, yeah. So go there, check out some of their gear. I have a code. My code is Rodney Damon Collins. Check it out. All good. Habits 365. With that being said, I want to thank all the wonderful viewers who are the most important part of this show. For you guys for watching us, supporting us. They got a bunch of hearts up in here for Nick, and we just thank you guys for doing that. Make sure you check out the podcast. It'll be available by what's today? Tomorrow. They'll be available tomorrow on every podcast platform. And welcome to the 12 countries who now subscribe to this podcast. So we thank you guys, and let's continue to build this movement. As I always say, life is a script. It's time to write yours. That's how we're going to end this podcast. Love, peace, and hair grease.
Love you, brother.
Yeah, man. Let me